Hi everyone, welcome back to the US CPA classes for financial accounting and reporting. Now we are starting property, plant and equipment. This is part 1 of property, plant and equipment. We have part 2 and part 3 which is completing the property, plant and equipment. In this video, we'll be discussing in detail what all costs you should be considering for the property, plant and equipment or for capitalization purpose. So let's dive into to understand part 1 of property, plant and equipments.
Today we'll be starting new topic, property, plant and equipment. So in this property, plant and equipment topic, we'll be covering 6 things. First one is the cost of property, plant and equipment, which include like cost of acquisition as well as in future if there is any cost of improvement. So here important thing is like especially in the cost of improvement, whether it's actually capital in nature or it's repair and maintenance. That is something we need to be very mindful. So we'll be discussing what all things comes under the cost, what is acquisition cost, what all categories of expenses comes under the acquisition cost, or what all category of expenses are being considered as a capital nature expenditure. And more importantly, what all expenditure are not considered as a capital nature expenditure, so that we will not consider them for the valuation or calculation of the property, plant and equipment. Second important thing is the depreciation method. So wherever there are property, plant and equipment, another important thing comes is the depreciation. So there are various methods of depreciation. You know, like what are some of those methods?
So WDV, straight line method, reducing balance method.
Sorry, what was third?
Sorry, reducing balance से WDV हो गया. एक वो sum of होता है depreciation का method भी.
Sorry,
sum of digits करके होता है ना.
Sum of digit.
एक वो हो गया. मतलब बट सबसे ज्यादा WDV या SLM यूज होता है in all cases.
तो स्ट्रेट लाइन मेथड भी तो होता है.
SLM ही तो बोल रहा हूँ, वही straight line method, SLM.
Yeah, so there are a couple. WDV method is not there in GAAP, so it's more of like using for tax purpose. So in the GAAP, we will be using like straight line method of depreciation, declining balance method, double declining balance method, sum of the digit method, and you can say number of hour use or number of unit produce method kind of thing. So those are 4-5 methods of depreciation which is allowed as per GAAP. So that we will be discussing in detail. And the third one is capitalization of interest. Have you heard this term before? Capitalization of interest.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Borrowing cost होती है जैसे उस केस में we have taken a loan for a specific purpose, तो उसमें जो हमारा लोन के ऊपर इंटरेस्ट होता है till the हमारा बिजनेस स्टार्ट नहीं होता, we are capitalizing that interest as well along with the construction cost or whatever. So इस केस में भी अगर प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट हम परचेज कर रहे हैं और हमने कोई लोन लिया है, तो जो इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन आ रहा है उसके ऊपर उसको हम कैपिटलाइज कर रहे हैं पीपीई के साथ ही. Capitalization of interest.
Ashish, have you heard this term before?
नहीं सर, मैंने नहीं सुना.
So capitalization of interest, like Akash said, so you know, like when you are doing construction of any asset, which is like kind of take more than a year time. So and for construction or building of that asset, if you have taken any loan and you are paying interest on that, till the time you know like asset is ready to use or put to use. So whatever the interest cost you have incurred, you can capitalize that. But it should not be unnecessary delay or undue delay. So that is should be, you know, like work should be continuous in process. We'll be discussing that also in detail.
Okay.
Fourth one is disposal. What is disposal?
Disposal is, sir,
Sale of asset.
Sale of asset.
Sale of asset, right? So there may be a gain or there may be a loss, right? So we'll be discussing that also. What is capital gain or what is capital loss on the sale or disposal of any asset. So disposal is a wider term. It may include like sale of asset or it may include scrap of asset also, right? Another is non-monetary exchange. Do you have any idea what is non-monetary exchange? This will touch base in AS 606 also.
Barter system, sir.
Barter system, where you are exchanging one asset for the another assets. Like generally, if you see, like there are many exchange offer for the electronic item you might be seeing. Like when you are giving, like maybe like when you are purchasing new air conditioner, you can exchange the old air conditioner kind of thing, right? And you get some value for it. So what are those non-monetary exchange transactions and how to value them? So that we'll be discussing. And then last one is natural resources and depletion. You know what is natural resources? Any idea what is natural resources?
सर ये माइनिंग साइट्स वगैरह होती है ना,
पेट्रोल हो गया,
केमिकल
ऑयल हो गया।
ऑयल, तो उस केस में वो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज उनके ऊपर भी हम कंसिडर करते हैं कि पीपी एंड डिप्रिशिएट करते हैं, जो भी करते हैं।
Yeah, so very true, like oil, gases, coal, mines, gold, silver, iron, those kind of minings, right? Those all are natural resources. So natural resources will not depreciate, but it deplete. Why it is depleting? Because you are extracting those resources. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? So depletion is basically reduction in the value of that respective mine or oil well because of continuous extraction which the company is making. Right? So we'll be understanding that also in detail, what is natural resources, what is depletion, how to calculate depletion. Right? So now let's start with the property, plant and equipment. What is property, plant and equipment? So the property, plant and equipment or fixed assets in US GAAP are interchangeable. So some places you will see fixed assets, some places you will see property, plant and equipment. Initially in the US GAAP, everywhere it was written as a fixed assets, but now as they are inclining or moving toward the IFRS, they have also started using the term called PPN. So earlier, if you see, like earlier, whatever the gaps were there in US, they all times using fixed assets as the terminology. But as slowly and gradually they are moving toward IFRS, so they have adopted this technology as an interchangeable between PP&E and the fixed assets. So fixed assets are the assets that are acquired for the use in operation, not for resale. So if you have purchased any asset for the resale purpose, then that should not be classified in the property, plant and equipment. Rather, it should go in inventory. Right? Yes, no?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. They possess physical substance and are long-term in nature. They are subject to depreciation. So classification of the property, plant and equipment include land, building, equipment, and that may be shown separately as a machinery, tool, furniture, fixture, right? If these categories are significant, and then you need to disclose accumulated depreciation. So like we have discussed earlier, accumulated depreciation is a contra asset. Why it is a contra asset?
सर ये asset में से लेस करके दिखाते ना financials में on the face. So that's a contra asset.
Kashish, have you seen like fixed asset schedule in the financial statement?
सर देखा तो था उसमें सर।
So Ayush, Akash, you guys have seen fixed asset schedule.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here maybe like just for quick reference of for the calculation.
तो सर मतलब फाइनेंशियल्स में भी वैसे भी टैक्स ऑडिट रिपोर्ट के टाइम भी टाइम पे होता ही है। इसमें कंपनी दैट वाला भी होता है, इनकम टैक्स वाला भी होता है।
Yeah, if you see in the notes, property,
Yes,
net
the
property, plant and equipment include internal software. I'll show you the schedule now. So maybe. So this is schedule 9. So you see the property: land, building, machinery and equipment, tools, construction in progress, total property, less accumulated depreciation.
Right.
Right, Kashish?
Yes, sir. Clear.
So here you will see like estimated use life of the year. So building is 4 to 20, 5 to 20 year. Machineries are in bracket of 3 to 27 year. Tools are in bracket of 1 to 13 year. But if you see land, no life, because land has infinite life and it's not depreciable, right?
Okay.
And this is how they have disclosed. And if you see like other financial statement, maybe you can take a look, but this is how it generally looks in the financial statement about the property, plant and equipment. If you see the classification, land, building, equipment and accumulated depreciation need to issue separately as a contra asset, right?
Yes.
So far so good, Ashish?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. So now coming to the valuation part. So property, plant and equipment purchase are valued at historical cost, that is cash or cash equivalent price paid or payable for obtaining the assets and bringing it to the location and condition necessary for the intended use. So what all costs you will be including in the property, plant and equipment? So the purchase price and the price or cost which you have paid to obtain the assets, legal title of that, and bring that assets into the current location and condition which is being required for the intended use. That means if you have paid any freight involved, or if you have paid insurance for transit, right? And if you have paid any legal fees to take the title of that particular property, right? All those things will come under the cost of the property, plant and equipment, right? Valuation of donated property, plant and equipment. So there may be a possibility that like you get some donated property. If you see, like I was last month I was in a meeting with a university president, and I got amazed to know they have around like 130 schools and 2 university, which is being established more than on 500 acres almost across the nation. And all this 500-acre piece of land they have received through the donation only, right? How do you value them in the balance sheet or financial statement? It has to be valued at the fair market value at the date of donation, right? Along with the incidental cost, maybe like property transfer cost, whatever you have incurred. These property, plant and equipment result into recognition of gain or income. Gain in the income statement. So the journal entry you'll be making is like property, plant and equipment account debit to donation. Make sense?
Yes,
डोनेशन
sir.
करते हैं तब भी ये एंट्री हो रही होगी.
Say that again.
जैसे सर डोनेशन रिसीव करा तो
हाँ.
डोनेशन पहले हमने यू आर सेइंग कैश में रिसीव करा या प्रॉपर्टी ही डोनेशन की तरह
Property ना. So this is property, plant and equipment receive as a donation. So how do you value that?
फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू पे सर, मतलब वही जिस दिन दिया उसी दिन का फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू जो है रिकॉर्ड कर देंगे.
Yes.
ठीक है.
Right, Kashish? Ayush?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Done, sir.
So this is like the definition of property, plant and equipment. And now we are jumping onto the very first topic, which is cost. Cost of property, plant and equipment. That include your acquisition cost as well as post-acquisition cost. So one is land and building, the other is property, machineries, equipments, how to value them. Right, on the left hand side, we will be discussing more in detail about land and building. On the right hand side, we'll be discussing on the valuation, or you can say calculation of the cost for the plant, machinery and equipments, which include like furniture, fixtures as well. So the land and building side. First is, what is the land cost? When land has been purchased for the purpose of constructing the building, all costs what you have incurred for excavation of the new building are being considered as the land cost. That means, for example, if you have purchased a piece of land, right, on that you want to make a multi-story building like DLF or maybe cyber hub or something like that, right? For that, first you will be doing all the excavation. That means making the land to be in a usable position for that particular project. So whatever the expense you are incurring to make the land to be usable for the required project, that cost will go to the land cost. And that land cost is not depreciable, right? So that may include your purchase price, broker commission if you have paid any, title and recording fees, that means any legal fees you have paid to the respective authorities, right? Any legal fees you have paid to the lawyer for the preparation of the property papers, right? Any draining or swamp expense you have incurred, any clearing of bushes and tree. For example, you got a forest land, right? And that you want to make a 5-star hotel. So there might be a lot of additional costs you will be incurring for cutting the trees, taking the approval of the forest, right? Taking the approval from the local government and central government, right? So those all expenditure will come in the cost of the land, right? Any doubt so far?
No, sir.
No, sir, clear.
Site development, existing obligation assumed from the buyer, cost of raising, that means cutting down the trees and all those things, minus the proceeds of sales of existing building or standing timber. For example, you have purchased a forest land and you cut all the tree and you got some money out of the sale of those trees. So that you need to reduce. And if there was some old building, for example, if you see in Delhi, there are a lot of buildings which go for a rehabilitation, right? And when you destroy those buildings, you sell those old material and you get some money out of it. So those proceeds need to be reduced. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So this is first we have discussed what is the cost of land. Then there would be land improvement cost. Land improvement cost is depreciable. And it include like fencing, that means boundary walls, right? Water system for the land, drainage system, sidewalk if you have created, paving, landscaping or lighting you have created. So all these are depreciable expenses, but this is called land improvement. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So there are two important notes to keep in mind. First is interest cost during the construction period should be added to the cost of land improvement based on the weighted average of accumulated expenditure. So here, if you are purchasing any piece of land for the construction of the building and you have taken a loan for land and building both. So in that case of scenario, the land as you purchase, you get the occupation immediately. So there are generally no timeline, right? Hence, no interest is being added to the land cost. But if you are investing anything for the fencing, water system, sidewalk, paving, landscaping, excavations, right? Those during that period, whatever the interest cost you have incurred, that interest cost you can add into the land improvement cost. And that can be depreciated over the period of time as a land improvement cost. Second is basket purchase. If you have purchased land and building together, right, allocating the purchase price based on the ratio of appraised value of the individual item. So, for example, if you have purchased a land and building together for $1 million, right? So, in that case of scenario, you need to check the fair market value of the land as well as the fair market value of the building. In the same proportionate, you will be allocating the respective cost. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now this is all about land. Now coming to the building side. So cost which you have incurred for the construction of building after excavation is considered as building cost. When preparing the land for the construction of the building, right? Land costs include like filling of hole and labeling. Building costs include digging the hole and foundation. So these are few things for exam perspective you need to keep in mind. Now coming to plant, machinery, equipment, furniture, fixture. Like how do you value them for the balance sheet purpose? First is your purchase price. What is purchase price? The amount which you both agreed and you have received the invoice for the same. Second thing is again a broker commission if you have paid any. Third is title, any amount you have paid to the authority for getting the title, or recording fees, or the legal fees which you have paid to the lawyer. And then like we were discussing earlier, freight in. So if you have paid any freight charges for the purchase of you can say plant, machinery, equipment, or furniture, right? That freight cost for bringing in will be added, and insurance if you have paid any in transit, that also to be added. And then interest cost if there is any longer period required for the development of any fixed assets, that also you can add. And then installation charges. What is installation charges? Any idea?
So to install the machine at the respective site,
Mm-hmm.
you know, operational करने के लिए, once you have purchased the machine, you need to install the machine. करना होता है, तो उसकी जो कॉस्ट लगती है बेसिकली
फॉर
उसको,
एग्जाम्पल
सर जैसे कोई मशीनरी आई है, अब उसको फैक्ट्री में आपको लगाना है, तो थोड़ा सा गड्ढा वड्ढा खोदना है, उसके अंदर उसको सेट करना है और उसको फिर ऑपरेशनल करने के लिए वो
एंड सर जो
जो
डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टूल्स भी जो यूज होंगे वो भी, मतलब
नहीं
उसकी भी जो कॉस्ट भी रहेगी वो
नहीं
भी।
नहीं, वो तो अलग हो गई, वो तो टूल्स तो अलग परचेज हो गए मेरे हिसाब से। पर इंस्टॉलेशन इज कि आपको एक मशीन को सेटअप करने के लिए जो भी रिक्वायरमेंट है, उसके लिए जो भी खर्चा हो रहा है, चाहे जमीन खोदनी पड़ रही है या कुछ और लेबर लाके उसको कुछ और काम करवाना है जिससे वो चल पाए, वर्किंग कंडीशन में हो, उसको में भी इंस्टॉलेशन कॉस्ट कहते हैं, एंड वो कैपिटलाइज हो जाएगी।
या कशिश व्हाट यू आर सेइंग?
सर आई एम एग्रीइंग विद व्हाट आकाश सेड।
That's an easiest answer, huh?
नहीं नहीं सर, यही था कि एक्चुअली जो भी कॉस्ट इनकर हो रही है, मतलब एट द टाइम ऑफ इंस्टॉलेशन ऑफ
Yeah.
द प्लांट और
Well,
मशीनरी।
have you guys visited to any plant by any chance?
सर प्लांट नहीं है
Any
बट एक्चुअली,
manufacturing plant?
सर फैक्ट्री में आई हैव सीन लाइक
No,
इन माय,
factory, plant, yeah, whatever it is. Which factory you have visited?
सर माय लाइक माय ब्रदर्स फैक्ट्री।
What they do?
सर वो बेसिकली प्रिंटिंग का है उनका,
Mm-hmm.
तो प्रिंटिंग ऑफ,
Mm-hmm.
मतलब जैसे
Yes.
प्लास्टिक की जो पॉलिथीन होता है ना सर,
Mm-hmm.
वो बनाते हैं। एंड
Mm-hmm.
उसके बाद जो प्रिंट होता है उसके, जैसे ब्रेड्स के ऊपर जो
Packaging,
होता है
printing and
पैकेजिंग,
packaging. Mm-hmm.
प्रिंटिंग एंड पैकेजिंग दोनों है।
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Akash, Ayush, you have visited any factory or plant?
सर मैंने ना मतलब तो ऑडिट करा था जब क्वांटिटेक इंडिया लिमिटेड करके एक कंपनी थी, तो
Mm-hmm.
कि जो ये इट वाज अ स्पैनिश कंपनी, तो उसका ये था कि जो मेट्रो के बीच में दो कोचेस के बीच में आपने देखा होगा रबड़ होता है, काफी लगा होता है,
Mm-hmm.
तो वो रबड़ मैन्युफैक्चर करते थे।
Mm-hmm.
के लिए मैंने देखा था कि काफी बड़ा उनका ह्यूज सेटअप था, तो वो जो उसी में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो रही थी, मैंने तो वो विजिट करा हुआ है।
Where is that?
ये सर है सोनीपत।
Okay. So maybe like I'll correlate both of your example which you have visited. So if you see like Kashi is like printing press, you might have seen, right? In printing press there is a cost of purchasing the printing press. Then
Yes,
you
sir.
might be paying them for the installation. In installation they will be doing certain specification of the landscaping, right? So where they need to install that machinery, right? And then they will come and do all the fitment of the machinery and alignment of the machinery with the computer systems, right? That is called installation cost. Same way, Akash, like you have seen like this rubber company who was making the rubbers. So if you have visited them, there might be you have seen a big molds,
हाँ sir, mold
right?
so
So those big molds would be installed in the land,
right.
right? So for that, you might be doing certain, you might be developing certain platforms in
Yes.
that the molds will be inside and then there would be some top of it,
Hmm.
right? And that rubber will go and that will take the shape. So
Correct.
there might be a mixture in which your natural rubber or synthetic rubber and other chemicals will go and they will make a blend or mixture of it, and then it will be going through the conveyor belt, right, which is also being installed on the platform. And then from there, when the mold is being ready and extremely heat, then those rubber pieces will go into the mold and give a shape to that respective type of rubber, right? So all those things which you have seen is being installed at the respective place, and everything is being linked to the computer so that real time movement and the real time, you can say, inventory status can be updated. So that is called installation cost, which those respective engineers, more of civil engineer and IT engineer, will come for the installation purpose of such machinery,
Right.
right? So that cost is called installation charges, right? In addition to that, you might have paid certain sales and federal excise taxes, right? Not the sales tax, because
Excise
sales tax you get the credit,
excise duty का नहीं मिलता था credit, वो
right?
add
Right? All the repair charges neglected by a previous owner, which is deferred maintenance, but now you need to incur. For example, like when I purchased this home, so you know, like there were some pending, you can say, house tax or that I need to pay. So that's being now part of my purchase cost, kind of thing. Alteration and improvement cost, plant architecture cost, or possible addition to the plant construction period interest minus any cash discount or other discount which you have received. So that's how you'll be calculating the cost of plant, machinery, furniture, fixtures. Make sense?
Yes, sir, clear.
Let me add furniture, plant, machinery, equipments. Right? So any doubt on costing part for land, building, plant, machinery, equipment, furniture, fixture? So far so good?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next important topic is capital expenditure versus revenue expenditure. So do you have any idea what is capital expenditure?
सर क्या पूछा आपने?
What is capital nature of expenditure?
Okay. Capital nature basically हो गया expenditure, मतलब capital nature is when we will be using a particular asset for a period of time, like over some years, not would not be expensed off within the same financial year. Capitalize it because it will be giving us future benefits over a longer period of time. Then we do capitalize that asset.
And what is routine expenditure or revenue expenditure?
Routine expenditure is we are using it. It's a one-time expense. We have incurred some expense. We are expensing it off in the P&L itself. That it has been used, like salary and maintenance expenses and all.
Yeah, very true. So yeah, capital expenditure are the expenditure which you have made to purchase any capital assets which is being going to be used for more than 12 months at least. right? So sometime when like when you spend on the any capital item for any improvement, at that point of time it is very critical how to identify whether it's a capital nature of expenditure or a repair and maintenance kind of expenditure. So there you need to make sure. Yes, yes.
सर इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द टाइम ना कि आफ्टर 12 मंथ्स तो वो कैपिटल में आ जाएगा, और अगर मतलब रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर है तो मतलब जैसे वर्किंग कैपिटल और जैसे सैलरीज वगैरह होगी तो मतलब उसी में ही वो एडजस्टमेंट होती है.
Then it will go directly to a P&L, will not get capitalized.
यस यस.
Right? If it is a capital nature of expenditure, then you will be adding that cost to the fixed assets. But if it is revenue nature of expenditure, it will go directly to the profit and loss account. So if it is a capital nature of expenditure which you have incurred, then you will be making a journal entry like assets account debit to cash, bank, or maybe account payable. Right? So first we have discussed about the cost part. Then we discuss about capital and expenditure part. Now we are jumping onto the cost of improvement and replacement capitalization expenditure. So what is cost of improvement? Any idea?
Sir, already we we
सर
have.
लाइक
हाँ हाँ.
बेसिकली सर जैसे मतलब किसी एसेट को सर अगर क्वालिटी इंप्रूव करनी है, कुछ भी उसमें कुछ एनहांसमेंट करनी है, तो जो भी सर कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व होती है दैट विल बी कंसिडर्ड कॉस्ट ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट.
Yeah. Are you sure saying something?
सर मतलब आई एम ओके विद व्हाट इज कशिश इज सेइंग, क्योंकि वही होता है कि कोई एसेट है उसको आप improve कर रहे हो, बेसिकली उस वैल्यू एनहांस होनी चाहिए, बट दैट इज मतलब जो ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग वैल्यू थी उससे अगर और इम्प्रूव आपको वैल्यू मिलेगी, देन इट वुड बी कंसिडर्ड एज कॉस्ट ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट एंड इट वुड बी कैपिटलाइज्ड बेसिकली. कोई भी अगर हम एग्जांपल उठाते हैं कि अपनी प्लांट एंड मशीनरी के केस में भी अगर कोई मशीनरी है उसका एक ऐसा पार्ट डैमेज हो गया है जो कि जिस नहीं वर्क करेगा, तो हम अपना यूनिट मैन्युफैक्चर ही नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, तो अगर पार्ट को रिपेयर कराना है और उसके लिए कोई कॉस्ट आ रही है, देन दैट इज कॉस्ट ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट एंड दैट वुड बी कैपिटलाइज्ड बिकॉज इट इज अल्टीमेटली एनहांसिंग द लाइफ ऑफ द एसेट. तो दैट इज कॉस्ट ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट.
Yeah, very true. Like if something is enhancing the capacity, capability, or the life of assets, right? Or that particular expenditure is considered as a cost of improvement. For example, let's say you have a 10-story building, and in that you on the top floor you added a kitchen or a hotel, right? So that extension, whatever the extra amount you are incurring, so may go into the capital expenditure. Second is, for example, which like Ayush you were sharing. So you have any particular machinery, let's say, for example, very simple example, if you have a truck, right? And you purchase the truck, let's say back in 2020, and it came up with a 1 year of, you can say, company warranty, or 3 year of warranty for the engine. And let's assume in 20, so you purchased that, let's say, truck in 2018, and in 2022, unfortunately, like engine got seized and it is out of warranty, right? And now you need to pay either to replace the engine or repair the engine. So if you repair the engine, let's say you may end up paying $10,000, and if you replace the engine, you end up paying $15,000. And let's assume you opted the replacement of engine by $15,000. In that case of scenario, is this $15,000 is a repair nature of expense, revenue nature of expenditure, or a capital nature of expenditure? It's a capital nature of expenditure. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Right? Why it is a capital nature of expenditure? Because if you do not replace, or if you do not, you can say, do the overhauling of the engine, then you won't be in a position to use the truck, right? So it is giving back the life to the asset, or it is adding to the life of asset, and it is enhancing the capacity and capability of that respective asset. So that's the reason those costs can go into the cost of improvement or replacement capitalization. So improvement improve the quality of the fixed assets and are capitalized to the fixed assets account. For example, a tile or a steel roof is substituted for an old aspirant roof, right? If you have just changed the roof, right? In a replacement, a new similar assets is substituted with the old assets. Like the old roof has been replaced with the new roof material. If the carrying value of the old asset is known, remove it and recognize any gain or loss and capitalize the cost of improvement replaced with the assets. So for example, like you purchase a truck and the truck has engine, right? At that point of time, you are not in a position to bifurcate the cost of engine and the cost of truck, right? In that case of scenario, whatever the scrap value you will be receiving by sale of old engine, that is your income. And whatever the amount you have invested for the replacement of the engine, that is your cost of improvement. But on the other hand, let's say you have in office you have furniture. Let's say you have 10 tables and 10 chairs, and out of which, like for any reason, there is a fire and 4 table and 4 chair has got destroyed, and now you are replacing them. So in that case of scenario, you know the cost of those earlier 4 assets which you are replacing. So on those, you can calculate the capital gain or loss, right? So if carrying value of the old asset is known, then remove that from the fixed asset register and calculate the gain and loss on then and there, and capitalize the cost of improvement or replacement of the assets. If the carrying value of the old assets is unknown, like we were discussing earlier, the asset's life is extended, debit the accumulated depreciation for the cost of improvement and replacement. So then journal entry would be accumulated depreciation account debit to cash or account payable. The usefulness of the asset is increased, so capitalization of cost of improvement, replacement of the assets. So, right, so far so good. Any doubt what is cost of improvement and how to use it for the capitalization purpose? Are you guys with me?
Sir.
Don't wait for Gurmehar. We have already started. Kashish, Ayush, Akash.
सर आपके
सर
साथ ही हैं
गुरमेहर का वेट तो नहीं कर रहे?
नहीं सर गुरमेहर तो पता नहीं आया
he's enjoying his party, huh? Okay, next topic is repair. So repair are like ordinary repair should be expense of as repair and maintenance expense. What is ordinary repair? Like for example, like whitewash of the building. That's your ordinary repair, right? And for example, every 3 months or 6 months, you ensure the service of your truck or service of your car. That is your normal repair and maintenance expense, right? Make sense? Extraordinary repair should be capitalized. Treat the repair as an addition, improvement, or replacement as appropriate. So here, if you see this box, on the top, if you see repair expense charged to income statement, what repair expense need to be charged to the income statement, what repair expenses to be capitalized, and what repair expense to be used to reduce the accumulated depreciation. The repair and maintenance expense which increase the life of asset, that can be capitalized or can be used to reduce the accumulated depreciation, as the case may be. Second is the repair and maintenance expenses which will be improving the usefulness of the asset. What is usefulness of the asset?
वैल्यू उसकी बेसिकली मतलब यूजफुलनेस मतलब जिस काम के लिए या जिस पर्पस के लिए वो
Yeah, that may increase the efficiency
and all,
of the
right?
particular asset, right? So that will get capitalized. If the expenditure is neither increasing life nor improving usefulness of the asset, then that would be considered as repair and maintenance expense in income statement. Make sense?
इनमें से सर कोई भी एक भी होता है तो भी कैपिटलाइजेशन हो जाएगा, either
Yes,
the
if it is increasing life or if it is increasing usefulness.
okay.
Right? If none of these two happening, then it's purely a repair and maintenance expense and charged to the P&L.
None.
सर ये क्या बोलते हैं इम्प्रूव यूजफुलनेस ऑफ एसेट में सर ये एक्यूमुलेटेड डेप्रिसिएशन क्यों नहीं होगा?
No, like if you have seen like in the previous example here, accumulated depreciation will be when you say the asset's life is extended only, not the improvement.
सर लेकिन अगर वैसे अगर आइडली अगर देखो तो सर अगर इम्प्रूवमेंट हो रही है तो सर डेप्रिसिएशन
No,
तो
no,
उसका
a
होगा
second,
ना?
I'll tell you again. For example, let's keep that truck example in mind again, right? Let's assume you purchase a truck in 2018 for $150,000, right?
Okay.
And in 2022, the engine got seized. And now you have invested, let's say, $40,000 for the replacement of engine. If you would not have been replaced this engine, then that truck has dead,
Yes, sir.
right? Because the truck was dead, you have already considered that as an depreciation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now you are adding the engine. So with the addition of the engine, it is increasing the life
Yes,
of the
sir.
truck, right? In that case of scenario, you'll be capitalizing the amount, or you can consider for the reduction in the depreciation,
हाँ तो कैपिटलाइज करेंगे.
right? Another example is usefulness, increase the usefulness. So, for example, if you have a machinery, printing machinery, let's assume, of your relative, right? So every day that printing machinery which you have installed, they produce, let's say, 1 metric ton of printing material, or maybe let's say 1000 square meter of printing material they are producing. And now the company has offered the new software. If you install that software into your printing machine, it will increase the efficiency from 100,000 square feet per day to 120,000 square feet per day. So in that case of scenario, there is no adjustment required in accumulated depreciation because it is only an enhancement for the future purpose.
Got it, sir. Got it.
So that is the reason, like usefulness increase, or if there is an increase in usefulness, it has more prospective impact. But the life can be on account of earlier extra depreciation or can be for the future.
Got it.
Right?
Clear.
Okay. So let's do a practical question. Which statement correctly state the proper accounting for non-monetary exchange that are deemed to have a commercial substance? Which statement correctly state the proper accounting for a non-monetary exchange? First is it defer any gain or loss. It defer gain and recognize the losses immediately. It recognize gain or loss immediately. It defer the losses to the extent of any gain. Which statement is correctly you can say correctly state the proper accounting of non-monetary exchange? What is non-monetary exchange?
सर बार्टर सिस्टम हो गया तो बेसिकली.
So for example, I have a Lamborghini and you have Rolls-Royce and we are exchanging it.
तो ये तो सर वही हो गया डेफर्स.
Yes, because in that case of scenario, the gain you're not recognized. But if there is loss, that as a conservative approach of the gap, you need to recognize it. So for example, I have given you a Lamborghini which has value of, let's say, $300,000, and in exchange of that you have given me Rolls-Royce which has $400,000 value. But in my book, I'll record that at the same value for which I have exchanged my Lamborghini. So I'm not recognizing the gain. But in future, when I'll be selling it, then only I'll be recognizing the gain.
Okay.
Right? But at the same time, you will be recognizing the $100,000 loss. Because you have given the Rolls-Royce of 400,000 to me and got the Lamborghini of only 300,000 worth in your hand.
बट ये तो सर दोनों पार्टी के लिए हो गया ना ट्रू, मतलब हमने तो लॉस बुक कर लिया, बट जिस दूसरी
But I have not booked the gain, na?
हाँ आपने भी
Because why you need to book the loss as per the conservatism approach. That is the theme of the gap.
सर उसमें मैं गेन तो बुक कर सकता हूँ ना, क्योंकि मैंने तो एक्सचेंज करी ही अब बाद में जिसको गेन हुआ पार्टी को.
That is the reason it's you can say exception to the general rule, where you can defer the gain.
अच्छा ओके. बट सर उस पे भी तभी होगा जब वो एक्चुअल सेल होगी, कैश वाली सेल.
Yes, when I'll do the actual sale, then I will be recording it.
अच्छा ठीक है. ओके.
ठीक है कशिश.
सर मेरे को तो नहीं समझ आ रहा है, मतलब सर ये एक्सचेंज अगर करा तो सर हमने दोनों को ही बुक करना चाहिए ना, रिकॉग्नाइज अपने अपने बुक्स में.
No, good point. So one is like the general rule, and to the general rule there are generally an exception to the general rule. So this is kind of exception to the general rule, where when you are doing like barter transaction. So in that case of scenario, the losses you need to book immediately, but the gain you can defer until you make the actual cash transaction.
Okay.
Right? So here, in case of exchange, the party who is in loss, they has to book the losses, but the party who is in gain, they can defer the gain up to the actual realization of the gain or loss.
Okay.
Make sense?
ठीक है.